These are 8 guests who made Johnny Carson laugh so hard he literally lost control of his own show. Johnny Carson hosted The Tonight Show for 30 years, from 1962 to 1992, transforming late-night television into an American institution. Across 6,714 episodes, he interviewed thousands of guests, but a select few could make the unflappable king of late night break character and surrender to genuine, uncontrollable laughter. What set these moments apart was the authenticity. Carson only laughed when genuinely amused, and he cut short dull guests without hesitation. Producer Fred D. Cordova summarized Carson's only demand: don't bring them here till they're ready. When Carson truly laughed, America knew they were witnessing something real. The 8 guests we're covering represent the full spectrum of comedy that thrived under Carson's watch. 4 were professional comedians who brought decades of craft, while 4 were actors and musicians who created some of the most memorable moments in television history. Together, they appeared over 300 times, and their segments are still being replayed decades later. Don Rickles, the Merchant of Venom. Don Rickles made over 100 appearances between 1962 and 1992, more than any other comedian. Carson nicknamed him Mr. Warmth, which tells you everything about their relationship. Rickles pioneered insult comedy, and making it work required special chemistry. The band would play Spanish bullfight music as Rickles walked out, subtly foreshadowing that someone was about to be metaphorically gored. Carson would adopt his Midwestern bland persona, while Rickles systematically tore him apart. The most famous Rickles moment happened in December 1976. On December 13th, Rickles was guest hosting when he accidentally broke Carson's wooden cigarette box, a desk fixture for 9 years. Carson returned the next night, took the broken box, led a camera crew to the adjacent studio where Rickles was taping CPO Sharkey, and barged onto the live set mid-scene. Carson feigned outrage with, "What do you plan to do about this?" Rickles shot back, "Next Christmas, I'm going to make sure a tree drops on your head." He offered to replace the box with an X-ray of Johnny Carson's lungs. Carson playfully slapped Rickles' face before leaving. Rickles confirmed in a 2005 interview that, knowing Johnny, he milked it a little bit, and I added to it. The bit worked because both men understood their comedy relationship. Rickles could say anything, and Carson would play the straight man, but Carson could always get the last word. Jonathan Winters, the master of improvisation. Jonathan Winters appeared 31 times with Carson, and their friendship dated back to the early 1950s. Jack Paar famously declared, "If you ask me who are the 25 most funny people I know, I would say here they are, Jonathan Winters." Winters pioneered improvisational stand-up, creating multiple characters, sometimes a dozen in a single appearance, who would banter spontaneously. In one 20-minute appearance on May 27, 1976, Winters played a pigeon, a childhood neighbor, his son, a friend named Wally, a tornado, and multiple fictional politicians, all completely improvised. The September 19, 1991 episode featuring Winters alongside Robin Williams remains one of the most requested episodes, rated 8.6 out of 10 on IMDb. Winters appeared dressed as a Union general, announcing, "We lost the fort," and what followed was a full-blown comedic war zone. Carson reportedly said, "I've lost control of my own show," and he was right, but he was also laughing harder than almost any other time on television. Winters was remarkably candid about his depression, alcoholism, and having spent 8 months in a psychiatric hospital, making him one of the first celebrities to discuss mental health publicly on television. Robin Williams only appeared 9 times, but each appearance was comedy magic that overwhelmed Carson's prepared interview structure. Williams brought stream of consciousness lunacy. Planned questions became meaningless as he riffed wildly between characters, impressions, and physical comedy. The December 1987 appearance is frequently cited as the moment Carson genuinely lost control. Williams discussed the unique, eccentric way Christmas is celebrated in San Francisco, featuring his depiction of Sado Claus, a dark, absurd twist on Santa. He hit punchlines and immediately leapt into impressions before Carson could recover. Carson was relegated to the role of an audience member just trying to keep up. Williams credited Jonathan Winters as his inspiration, calling him "my comedy Buddha." Carson chose Williams for his penultimate episode on May 21, 1992, alongside Bette Midler. That broadcast drew 50 to 55 million viewers and helped The Tonight Show finally win an Emmy for Outstanding Variety Series after 13 nominations. Rodney Dangerfield appeared between 35 and 70 times from 1969 to 1989. His first appearance came at age 47, a late career breakthrough that transformed him into a household name. A Dangerfield appearance became what multiple sources called a major television event. He'd emerge for 5 to 6 minutes of stand-up, then sit on the couch and deliver several more minutes of jokes thinly disguised as conversation, while Carson barely got a word in, except to set up more jokes. Classic lines included, "When I was born, the doctor said to my father, 'I'm sorry, we did everything we could, but he still pulled through.' And my wife made me join her bridge club. I jump next Tuesday." The most famous moment occurred when he tore through his routine so fast that he ended early. With no more jokes available, he turned to Carson and simply asked, "So, what's new with you?" Carson laughed so hard he literally fell off his chair. That captures why Dangerfield worked perfectly with Carson. The joke was the collision of Dangerfield's manic energy with Carson's cool demeanor. Dangerfield had broken the fourth wall of the talk show format itself, and Carson's genuine reaction made it television gold. Ed Ames wasn't a comedian at all, yet he created what has been documented as the longest sustained laugh by a live studio audience in television history. Ames was a singer with the Ames brothers before becoming an actor, playing Mingo on NBC's Daniel Boone. On April 27, 1965, he came on to promote the series and mentioned he'd learned to throw a tomahawk. Carson asked for a demonstration. As the band played a bar of the Adventures of Pow Wow theme, Ames threw the tomahawk and it landed squarely in the cowboy silhouette's groin, with the handle pointing upward in an unmistakably suggestive manner. The audience erupted, and Carson expertly extended the moment. When Ames tried to retrieve the tomahawk, Carson stopped him because the visual needed to stay there. His ad-libs were perfect. "I didn't even know you were Jewish." Then, "Welcome to Frontier Briss." When Ames asked if Carson wanted to try, he replied, "I can't hurt him any more than you did." The laughter went on and on. It became the most requested clip in Tonight Show history, and NBC received floods of mail from outraged viewers whenever it wasn't included in anniversary broadcasts. The Carson 100 list ranked it the #1 most memorable moment in the show's entire history. Carson later said, "The times I enjoyed the most were the spontaneous, unplanned segments that just happened, like Ed Ames' infamous tomahawk toss. It couldn't be recreated, it couldn't be planned, it just was." Charles Grodin was a character actor known for The Heartbreak Kid, King Kong, and Midnight Run. He wasn't a comedian, yet his 36 appearances pioneered deadpan, confrontational, mock hostile banter that satirized the fake friendliness of celebrity interviews. His delivery was so convincing that many viewers thought there was genuine animosity between him and Carson. His signature routine involved repeatedly accusing Carson of not caring about his guests. In one famous exchange, Grodin asked, "Are you interested in anything at all? Do you really care?" Carson's deadpan response was, "Yes, my health, and I've got this terrible pain right now." One night, when Grodin's jokes failed, he staged an impromptu cleansing ritual by burning his script on stage. After a particularly dull episode, Carson asked, "What's the hardest thing you ever did?" then answered his own question with, "Talking to you." NBC received countless letters from viewers unaware of the joke. Grodin's comedy worked because it required Carson to be in on the joke, which was meta-comedy decades before that became a standard approach. Burt Reynolds, whipped cream and genuine affection. Burt Reynolds appeared 61 times between 1971 and March 1992. While he was an actor known for Deliverance and Smokey and the Bandit, his appearances consistently produced comedic moments through genuine chemistry with Carson. The whipped cream incident on September 26, 1974 became legendary. Reynolds arrived carrying a can of whipped cream, and what followed was pure chaos. Reynolds sprayed whipped cream in Carson's face, did a little dance, then sprayed cream down the front of Carson's pants. Carson silently played along, took the can, and sprayed more cream in Reynolds' pants. On his final appearance on March 12, 1992, Reynolds asked, "Does anyone have any whipped cream?" He sprayed cream down his own pants, then down Ed McMahon's pants, then gave a spray in Carson's direction, a callback that acknowledged their decades-long history. Reynolds spoke emotionally about Carson on Conan in 2018, saying, "I was in love with him and I felt that we had a connection somehow." After Reynolds' death in 2018, Antenna TV changed its programming for 4 nights to air his Carson appearances, a tribute that spoke to the special place he held in Tonight Show history. Tiny Tim, the wedding that stopped America. Tiny Tim, born Herbert Boutros Cowrie, was a novelty musician famous for his falsetto voice and ukulele rendition of Tiptoe Through the Tulips. On December 17, 1969, he married his 17-year-old fiancée, Victoria May Budinger, known as Miss Vicky, live on The Tonight Show. This was the first celebrity wedding broadcast on live television, and the spectacle drew 40 to 45 million viewers, making it the highest-rated Tonight Show episode until Carson's 1992 finale. To put that in perspective, Kim Kardashian's 2011 wedding drew only 4 million viewers. The set was decorated with 10,000 tulips imported from Holland, and the ceremony lasted 6 minutes. The entire event was surreal, a 6-foot 1-inch man with long hair marrying a 17-year-old when he was 37, all on national television. The marriage lasted until 1972 and produced one daughter named Tulip. When asked years later, "Do you ever think about what it was like when you were with Johnny and on top?" Tim replied, "From morning to night, that's all I think about." The wedding represents something important about The Tonight Show. It wasn't just about comedy, it was about moments. Carson understood that television's power came from doing things that felt significant. 45 million Americans gathered to watch something they'd never seen before, and that's cultural impact you can't manufacture. Carson never named a single favorite guest. He stated, "The times I enjoyed the most were the spontaneous, unplanned segments that just happened." What made these 8 guests so funny was how their comedy intersected with Carson's personality and live television. The professional comedians, Rickles, Winters, Williams, and Dangerfield, brought decades of craft and confidence to take risks. The celebrities, Ames, Grodin, Reynolds, and Tiny Tim, brought unpredictability that Carson's format elevated into cultural phenomena. The tomahawk landed where it landed, Rickles broke what he broke, Williams and Winters created chaos no producer could script, and through it all, Carson let it happen. That was his genius. He created an environment where spontaneity could thrive. He laughed only when genuinely amused, which meant every laugh was earned. The Tonight Show ended on May 22, 1992. Carson chose Robin Williams and Bette Midler for his penultimate episode, and 50 to 55 million people tuned in. He died in 2005, but the clips continue to circulate. The Ames tomahawk throw has millions of YouTube views, the Rickles cigarette box confrontation is shared constantly, and Carson's laughter at Dangerfield appears in compilations of hosts losing it on live TV. These 8 guests gave us moments that transcended their original broadcast. For those who remember watching these shows when they aired, we knew we were seeing something real. In an era before everything was edited and polished, The Tonight Show offered genuine human connection. When Carson laughed, we laughed with him at the unexpected joy of spontaneous comedy. That's what made Johnny Carson the king of late night. He created a space where the funniest people in America could take their biggest risks, where accidents could become legendary, where chemistry between host and guest could produce television magic. These 8 guests made Carson lose control of his own show, but in doing so, they gave him and us the moments he enjoyed most, the spontaneous, unplanned segments that just happened, the times when preparation gave way to pure, unfiltered laughter. Those were the nights that made The Tonight Show unforgettable.